What's up, guys? It's early signing day here. I am Austin from campus to Canton. We are spending today helping you get to know some of the freshmen that are signing early, that are finally choosing their destinations, at least for their first couple of seasons here in college. We are going to be bringing you all of those guys, all of the information about them, the depth chart, where to take them in your drafts this offseason. If you want to get more notifications about these videos that we're going to be releasing all day and honestly all off season for some of these guys as they start to sign, go ahead, give a subscription here. Subscribe to the channel, Campus to Canton. Turn on notifications so you get an update every time we release another one of these. Like I said, there are going to be a ton of them. Here today, I'm going to be talking about Adam Randall, wide receiver, going to Clemson, officially signed on that dotted line here today. Just a little bit about Adam Randall. He is 6'3", 215 pounds. He is a typical big-bodied receiver that Clemson's staff has really preferred there over the past few years. He went to high school at Myrtle Beach High School there in South Carolina. Rankings-wise here for the 24/7 composite, he is wide receiver 17 overall. 24/7 Sports has him as wide receiver 16. ESPN has him at wide receiver 15. On3 has him as their wide receiver 11, and Rivals has him at wide receiver 26. So not necessarily the top guy across any of these services, but he is becoming a huge favorite among the Devi community, among people that follow recruiting because of just how good of an athlete he is for his size. Probably one of the better size-adjusted athletes here in the class amongst all freshmen. What does his game look like? I think we all want to know. That's kind of the big question. How will this player adapt to college? And then obviously, where should I be taking him in my drafts? So I think he has really nice long speed. I don't know exactly. He has a verified, I believe, 10.94 100-meter dash from this past track season. That's pretty dang good. I don't know if he weighed 215 at that time or not, or if he's bulked up a little bit, but that is still a really good time. I think he can certainly run a 4.5 or so when all is said and done in the 40, and that's great for 6'3", 215 pounds. Borderline elite, really. Could even drop a little bit below that, but I know we all like to overpredict some of these running times, and then these guys don't get there, and we all get upset. So I think a 4.5, if he runs that, that's a great time for him. Especially with what else he can do on a football field. He's very sure-handed. He looks very comfortable catching the ball. I can usually tell if a guy is pretty comfortable catching a football or not by how quickly they can transition from the catch, from that ball hitting their hands, to how quickly they can work their way upfield or beat the first guy or really just make that first move. And I think he is borderline elite in that regard. As soon as that ball hits his hands, he's making that first move. He's really good on comeback type routes where he's coming back to the ball. He can reach out, pluck it out of the air, and then quickly turn upfield, knows where that defender is at all times, and often beats that first guy. I think that's something that will definitely translate to college because of just how quick he is. He runs very tough after the catch, which you would assume and hope, being as big as he is. So I think he can be a bigger yak guy and not just necessarily maybe a downfield type of player, which I think, again, bodes well from him. And I just, he's big, he's fast in a straight line. You'd say, okay, that's pretty good. But I think he is quick as well. We don't have any verified shuttle times or anything like that, but I think that he is very quick, that he will be one of the quicker wide receivers at Clemson. Not necessarily saying anything because they're all, those big, tall guys, and a lot of them are very linear. But I think that he certainly will be better than a lot of guys that are already going to be at Clemson in that regard. So I don't know what the level of competition he's playing in high school. So he does make a lot of these defenders look really silly. Is he just that good? Are the defenders that bad? I think that's the big question that kind of just kept popping into my head. And the biggest concern I have for him is literally nothing to do with him. And I think I'm usually hesitant to talk about some of these things, to apply some of these things, because, again, it's outside of his control. But how does he fit in the Clemson wide receiver room? As I said earlier, they just basically have a bunch of the same guy there. They don't have a lot of variation amongst their wide receivers. They do bring in another kid this year, Antonio Williams, who's a deep field stretcher type guy, a little smaller, 6 foot, about 180. And then they do have Troy Stellato there. But other than that, the Dakari and Bo Collins are both bigger guys. Joseph Ngata is a big guy. And as of now, we have no indication that he's trying to leave school there. Is Justin Ross leaving? We don't know. So, I mean, there are a ton of other guys that have his same exact skill set, basically, that have seniority, have been in that offense for multiple years. Can he usurp them? Can he offer something different than any of those guys? That's going to be the $1 million question, and that's going to determine his early value. If he can't get on the field early, if he can't beat out these other very similar receivers, then I don't know what happens to him moving forward. Now, we here at Campus to Canton are higher on him than the composite. We have, or any of the other services. We have him as our wide receiver 8. I've seen plenty of people that I respect who have said that they have him as their top overall wide receiver or a top 3 kid in the class. That's a little rich for me. I actually have him as my wide receiver 11, so kind of in line where a lot of the other services have him. Because I see the athletic ability. I see his potential to be a huge playmaker. I also wonder where he fits in that offense. And we don't know who the quarterback's going to be there or if that's going to be good quarterback play. We had DJ Uiagalelei last year, very much struggled. Is he the starter? Cade Klubnik comes in this year, 5-star quarterback. Does he take over? If so, is there a transition period? What does that look like? So a lot of questions there that have nothing to do with Adam Randall. Unfortunately, I think that knocks him down a little bit for me. Does that mean you can get a steal if other people are thinking that? Possibly. We're doing a lot of mocks here already this offseason at Campus to Canton. He's going around the 10th round. I think that in a regular startup, I think that feels a little rich for me. I certainly don't expect any production this year. So that from that standpoint, it's a little bit scary. In freshman drafts, supplemental drafts, depending on how deep the player pool is, I'd expect he's probably a top 36 or so pick, and maybe even slightly higher than that. Again, depending on how your league mates feel on him, because I know, again, some sources out there have him significantly higher than that. So I think, this is the kind of guy where you want to do your research. You want to be paying very close attention to what happens with the depth chart there at Clemson, what happens during the spring, what happens in their search for an offensive coordinator. There are a lot of different factors that are going to play into his development here and to whether Adam Randall ends up becoming the next kind of great wide receiver there at Clemson, or if he has a Joseph Ngata-like career, which has been, okay, but certainly hasn't lived up to the billing when he came out of high school a couple of years ago.